Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Man United Agenda. Plenty to talk about, including Mr. Harry Maguire's successor as captain. Stay with us for this juicy one. Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome to this earlier Tuesday edition of the Man United Agenda. I think there's some small wee football game going on over there in London. Some blue team and some red team going head to head. Lampard bidding to be 006, 0 wins, 0 draws, 6 losses, and only Bournemouth is standing in his way after that from becoming a record breaker for Chelsea in a 007 fashion. Will that happen? That's none of our business. But I want to say hello to Colum joining me live here, usually on the FTSN network, but here in the Man United Agenda tonight. And I'm absolutely loving that beautiful Manchester United badge that's hanging out behind you. And we will be getting into matters Glazer and their shenanigans in the not too distant future. But Mr. B, you're back again today. We had an old chinwag yesterday. We're going to have another chinwag today. But how are you doing? Because I know you're a bit like me. You're just in from work.
The days are getting longer and longer. The sun's come out and all the madness has started, brother. I tell you, yeah, it's long. But look, I'm here. I'm here. I got a job to do, so I make sure that I get it done. So yeah, I'm here, ready to roll, man.
Speaking of jobs to do, Mr. B, I know you love talking about mugs. So why don't you give us a talk about these mugs?
Obviously, you can see that this one's the one that they've got here is Bruno. I actually own a Rashford mug. We've got somebody who owns a Martinez mug. We have somebody who owns a Casemiro mug. We've got somebody who owns a Fred mug. We've actually got somebody who owns a Harry Maguire mug on the channel. Look, I know you lot can work out who it is if you don't know already. But yeah, look, scan the QR code, guys. Look, we don't even have to tell you what the website. You just point your phone at the screen, and the rest of the job is done.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Mr. B. Now, I wasn't sure whether I was going to start with Ari and his captaincy or whether I was going to go into those Glazer twits across the water. But you did mention Mr. Monday Juma's Harry Maguire mug. So let's get into the first topic of the day. And Mr. Rio Ferdinand has been out flapping his gums again, as a lot of past players tend to do these days. They don't want to say nothing when they're playing, but you can't shut them up now. He is talking about succession to what seems like the inevitable departure of Harry Maguire and the club captaincy. Now, it doesn't surprise anyone to realise that his preferred captain already takes the role 99.9% of the time anyway, and that is Mr. Bruno Fernandes, the guy that was on those mugs of the Man United agenda. Do you see, Mr. B, any other candidates for the role, or is it really a foregone conclusion, just promote him to captain and end off?
Nothing's a foregone conclusion, but I think he's done a superb job this season. I said I've been singing Bruno's praises for the majority of the season, even when he he's been rolling around and doing his histrionics. The fact that he's driving the press mad, opposition supporters mad, and even sometimes to extent some of our own fan base mad. I love it. I think he's perfect. But if he goes to captain, my question after Cold Marches is who would you make vice captain? And I've got somebody in mind, to be fair.
Mm. Now, Colum, while you're speaking on that as well, I do want to ask you, when he's captain, obviously, even though he does that role on the pitch 90% of the time anyway, because Harry Maguire can't seem to get a start for us, does he need to control his gums a bit more?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people comment on how much he talks and gobs off at referees and everything. I think if he's going to take this armband, which I wouldn't mind at all, I think he's probably heads and shoulders our best player this season by miles. I know people have done well. Rashford's done well, and there's Casemiro as well who's done well, but he's by far been our most consistent and best player. I think he does because he has to understand that wearing that armband for Manchester United, you have to step up and be, the professional of the team. You have to set the standard of what Manchester United is once you put that armband on, and you can't be flapping your gums constantly at referees or anybody else.
Question: did Roy Keane flap his gums at everybody and everything else?
Yes, he did. But the thing is with that though, back then, I don't think referees were as much as soft. Let's
Snowflakes?
put it that way. Yeah, snowflakes. They kind of like just stood there, took it, and then went, right, go away. Nowadays, if you look at a referee and breathe in the direction, they're very quick with the cards and they'll bring out a yellow card and book you. And we can't afford that to happen.
Speaking of refs and back in the day, we all remember Howard Webb had no problem getting physical in the middle of two scrapping players, did he? I remember a game in particular where literally there was two lads butting heads and Webb just goes, poof, out of the way, boys, and he just literally cleared them away from each other. But I want to talk a bit more about Bruno, Mr. B. And at the end of Villa game the last day, there was a bit of animation between himself and who, for me, is the most likely co-captain to Bruno, and that is Mr. Casemiro. They were having words about what transpired in the game. But I think the key point of that was, once it was all said and done and the words were taken off the chest, there was a kind of a high-fivey type hand slap and a hug, as in, okay, we've done our business. We made our points. It's time to move on. And that seems to be very much a ethic that Ten Hag has injected into the squad, not to let it fester, but to go out and challenge what is bothering you.
The winners. Bruno might not have had the medals, especially the amount of medals that Casemiro's have, but Bruno's a winner. You can see that his game. And Casemiro, him and Varane, you don't win those kinds of trophies if you're not a winner. So the fact that they were both at it, I think is great. They got what they got off their chest. The game's done and guaranteed it wasn't fester, but that was Casemiro's best game in what the last since he's come back. So maybe Bruno was just telling him, mate, this is how you need to be playing every bloody week. And Casemiro, he might have been agreed, he might have been disagreed, who knows? But it's about time Casemiro started emulating Bruno's performances now, to be fair.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to mention briefly that we are coming into the closing end of the Premier League season. And this isn't on the topic sheet today, but I want to know from the chat. It's stated by some media outlets that 9 points basically guarantees Champions League football for Manchester United next season without any other fixtures and results going their way. Do you think we need 9 points? Give us a yes or a no in the chat. But Mr. B and Colm, you mentioned, Mr. B, about vice captains and who would be the logical person to come in should Bruno get promoted to full-time captain. Let's hear who you believe that should be.
Luke Shaw.
Okay, interesting. And any reasoning behind it?
I just think in his interviews, he's always very, very honest, sometimes over honest, and he gives a shit. He cares. You can see the pain in his face when he loses. So I'd be giving it to Luke Shaw. He's been there more than long enough. Bruno's, let's be honest, Bruno's going to be playing virtually every single game anyway. But I would be giving it to Luke Shaw. That would be my hands down vice captain. I know Casemiro is what Casemiro is, and he's won what he's won, but I'll still be going with Luke Shaw.
A very interesting point choice by Mr. B, a leader in the back to complement maybe a more advanced player, giving you two lines of leadership. And obviously, Shaw has been criticised for a long time, but has seemed to have reinvented himself again under the guidance of Ten Hag, and possibly even is more viable as a covering left centre back now than even as a left winger. Do you agree, Vice Captain Shaw, or do you have somebody else in mind, Colin?
Obviously, when we talking about obviously the vice captain, the first name that did come into my head was obviously Casemiro, because he's been there, he's won everything that he could possibly go out and win. But Mr. Bebeck's a very, very good case, with Luke Shaw. He's been fantastic, and he's put somebody who was supposed to be our captain this season and one of our best defenders. If you go on price tag and everything, he's made him the fifth choice centre back. Because I don't think he gets in over Luke Shaw, definitely doesn't get in over Varane and Martinez, and I think Lindelof gets in before him as well. So yeah, I wouldn't begrudge Luke Shaw becoming vice captain. He's done very, very well this season.
Very good, very good. Now, it is coming up to that point where we do need to delve into the comments. So, to the people that are viewing, please do give us a like, share, and subscribe. We do appreciate it. And while we go through those comments, I am just going to stick that up. Shameless publicity here on the Man United agenda today. But let's hit out some of these comments. Emma Kay is telling us she's having a discussion with Ed Mayhem. Hello to both of you. But on the captaincy front, Realist Cavs, very welcome to the chat. He's saying no captaincy for Bruno, that he doesn't have the spine for it. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I want to know who he wants. Who would he choose as captain? Realist, if you're still in the chat, just tell me who you'd make captain and why you'd make captain. While you're at it, I know it's a long one. Do your VC vice captain as well while you're in there.
Very good. And he is in the chat, so I hope we will get that comment from him shortly. Hello to Brian Casey. I think we get the 9 points he's saying. Spurs are doing Spursy things and falling further behind, so he's not sure that we'll actually need it all. Emma Kay is telling us, I want to see what Rashi would do with an armband. That's an interesting one. We will ask the panel about that shortly. Brian is talking about Maguire making himself fifth choice. OMONDI, cover your eyes. You do not want to see all this. Kaz saying, wish Bruno could have a football brain like KDB. Hell on Wheels, very welcome back. We haven't seen you in a bit. Evening, guys. Sorry I've been away for a long time. I'm thinking 6 will do the job, but we'll grind out the points that we need. And Realist Cavs is answering your question, Mr. B.
Casemiro.
He wants Casemiro as captain. And I think there was one more that we wanted to hit. Oh, yes, Emma Kay. She says she doesn't care who actually wears the armband. She wants a team of leaders striving towards our goals. So that is the discussion on the captaincy. Now, Mr. B, I know a bit like the De Jong saga last summer, you're probably getting fed up to your ears of Joel and Avram bleeding Glazer. These baldy ass deckers are giving a bad name to the bald nation, and they need to be shunted directly out of Old Trafford. But reports today from various media sources are saying that they should inform bidders of their thoughts on the third round of bidding towards the end of this week. Now, Mr. Jim Ratcliffe has been getting a lot of plaudits of late in the media. He's had Kasper Schmeichel speaking for him. He's had Aaron Ramsey speaking for him. He's had Andy Mitten of United. I can't even remember what his bloody magazine's called. I'm blanking there. But he's had various big names amongst the United community and players of football vouching for his resume. I think the problem, though, for Manchester United fans is the risk of Joel and Avram staying in some capacity. But Colum, you didn't get a chance to have your wag on this for a while. How soon do you expect things to progress once the end of the week comments come forward? And how sick of media hyperbole are you? Because clearly none of them are privy to internal negotiations that are subject of NDA. So where's all this nonsense coming from?
I'm sick and tired of this now, if I'm going to be honest with you. And when it comes to journalism, I think a lot of them are now feathering their nests. They don't want to say a bad word about anybody because, they want to be in press conferences, they want to get information, this, that, and other. So, a bad word's going to be said in regards to that. I just want to bring up, this whole Ratcliffe, and that's right, I'm calling him Ratcliffe, not Radcliffe. If he's keeping the Glazers in just so he can get his finger in the pie, then you're not the man at all. We want a full sale. And I've been seeing loads and loads of things, United want a full sale because, it's Qatar and I've got... No, United wanted a full sale before we even knew who was going to be in the running. So don't go with us like that. I mean, if you saw the protests, you see how much this club actually means to its fans. And the Glazers are ruining it and ripping it apart bit by bit. So they can't stay in there. I'm hoping it's going to be a very, very quick process. Once, obviously, they've announced who's buying it, who's taking over. I hope it's going to be a very quick process, but it's the Glazers, so I can see it getting dragged.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. B, I do want to say before I come to you, hello to Mr. Jason B. Sharps. I'm presuming that's from the B. Sharps from that Simpsons episode where they had the song Baby on board. I don't know if I'm showing my age here with that, but very welcome. And he's saying any deal that involves the rats in America is unacceptable. Now, Mr. B, I'm going to take you back about a year and a half ago to a conversation that was had here on this channel. I think it was yourself, myself, Solo, and Talking Mew, and we talked about the merit of Sir Jim potentially launching a bid to buy Manchester United. This was around the time of all that speculation with Chelsea, when Abramovich was being threatened with being expedited out of the country and all the rest of it. And I suppose in terms of what we discussed at the time, that would have been, should have Sir Jim have come in and made a all-out takeover bid. We are seeing various reports. How accurate they are is unknown. But has your thoughts on Sir Jim dramatically changed based on the media reports?
Yeah, just because he's loading us with debt. He either buys the club and wipes things out, that's one, or not. But the fact that he's getting into bed with the Glazers, look, we already know it's a very strange decision. Strange time that it came out as well. Obviously, there's leaks everywhere. Let's be honest. We say that we don't know, and these people are doing their due diligence and they've signed NDA as well. There seems to be a lot of common information that a lot of people seem to know. So I do think certain things are being leaked. The Glazers are going to do what's best for them, though, aren't they, Rebel? Let's be honest. They've never given a shit. And the last thing they're going to do is give a shit when they're selling it. So if they feel that him saddling the club with a whole load more debt is the best way for them, best move forward for them, then that's what they're going to take. I just don't understand why he would do that. Because I'm saying, we're not, United fans aren't the almighty power, and we're not the be all and end all. But it could end up causing Ineos a whole load of headache. To be fair.
Very true. Very true. Now, we won't go into the environmental issues that Bad Time with Vaughan mentioned yesterday in the chat, but Colm, I'm going to throw out a situation to you. Some of the media are commenting that Sir Jim is not doing the this type of bid by preference, but because of the nature of Joel and Avram's reluctance and skittishness over departing Manchester United, he is, after manipulating a situation which, even though it doesn't rid us of them now, that down the line he would be able to get rid of them and at the same time provide the situation of a pill that Joel and Avram can swallow. Now, for me, I'm not sure I buy that. But if it is a case that these two lads, even if you threw ridiculous money on the table, do not want to leave for fear of missing out on future money, do you have to applaud his business acumen to try and twist the knife?
No, not really, because I don't think he's twisted a knife, to be honest with you. I think that he's gone round and picked up Manchester United fans, attached them to his guitar, and played us like a bloody fiddle. That's what I think he's done. You know, he's been saying, you know, oh, I will make Manchester United great. I'm a Man United fan. Bro, you've got a Chelsea season ticket. You go to Chelsea games every single week. Go buy bloody Chelsea and make them into a club, you know? He's going on about sustainable. I'm going to make Manchester United sustainable. Okay, you do that. It won't work. Do you know why it won't work? Chelsea have got £1 billion owners. Manchester City got £1 billion owners. Newcastle got £1 billion owners. If we don't get Qatar, guess what? They're going to go buy a Tottenham or somebody like that. They've got £1 billion owners. We are going to fall and fall and fall. With the way football is going now, you cannot run as a self-sustained club because you will fall behind.
Mr. B, and this is the last thing I'm going to do on Mr. Radcliffe and his takeover. A friend of mine said that Sir Jim's bid is nearly like the pace horse in a long distance race, that he's out there setting the pace and will fall away once the good horses get to that finishing sprint. But one of the most disturbing reports that has come out in the media is that Sir Jim apparently has sounded out Mr. Ed Woodward to return to a role of some sort at Manchester United. I don't know about you, but Sir Jim surely would not be that naive to invite the guy that destroyed Manchester United Football Club for a decade back into the kitchen.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. Rebel, the more I hear, the more I don't. The more I hear, the more I don't want to know. I just, look, I can sit here until I'm blue in the face, and I can say the same thing. I don't understand why he makes these decisions. Why these decisions are being leaked. I mean, maybe it's all nonsense. Maybe it's somebody else leaking it to whip up the anti-Enoch, anti-Ineos brigade out. But no, I don't get it. I really, really don't understand these decisions, Rebel. And that would be just what both of them. So we've lost one. You're now going to buy the club, bring back the one that we all hate, and then keep the other two that we all hate as well. No, it makes no sense.
Going on that though, I've heard somewhere, and I don't, like I said, it could be rumours, it might not be. Even if he does buy the majority share, the Glazers still get 60% voting.
Oh, I don't understand. I'm not going to sit down here and quote any of that because I'll be honest, I don't know. I wait for Rebel. I wait for Rebel to update me in normal language. To be fair,
I got to come in with this brief because I do see a comment from McKay, and I just want to share a translation that I gave to Mr. B about everything that I say, even though I might use some of the formal technical language. It all translates to the Glazers are gobshites. So regardless of what I say, and even though it is factual, it all has the internal meaning of the Glazers are gobshites. But McKay did mention about the A shares and the B shares and the fact that only the class of shares that are owned by the Glazer family have voting rights. Now, Jim Radcliffe, regardless of what we'll say about him, he's not a thick man. He's not a stupid man. He's not going to buy a majority stakeholding in Manchester United Football Club and be powerless in terms of voting. Even though it's not the situation that we want, he's not going to swallow that pill. Having 60% of the shares, but Joel and Avram, who he couldn't remove from the club, having 20%, having 100% of the voting rights, not a Scooby-Doo's chance. And if he does sign up to that, he would have to be the biggest mug since Harry Maguire's United Agenda mug to walk into Manchester United Football Club, because that would be absolutely mind-blowingly stupid. But on that note, we have about 4 minutes left before we need to truck on to Premier League football watching on our couches. There was an interesting article that flew across me, and it's about Mr. B's favourite Manchester United son, Mr. Anthony Martial. For a long time now, Manchester United Football Club haven't had many envious eyes cast on our squad and our resources. But now we have Tommy Two Hips salivating at the thought of possibly bidding for Casemiro, which he can bugger off. He's not getting them. But Anthony Martial is the subject of a bid from a number of Serie A clubs. Even though he's had those injury concerns hanging all over him, they're seeing enough of a streak of quality that kind of goes, I wouldn't mind a nibble. Your thoughts, Mr. B?
Now, look, it's about time that teams want our players, but I just feel I can't see this happening. One, his wages are too high. Two, he is actually playing well for us, and the only way he goes is if Ten Hag has a change of heart or a change of mind. He likes Martial. He does like him. He spoke him up in pre-season, and all the games he hasn't played, he's spoken him up. He's wrapping him in cotton wool, hoping he'll get him through to the end of the season. I think Martial will stay, but look, if a decent bid comes in and Martial is willing to go, then we do need, if a new number 9 comes in, guaranteed he's going to want to wear the number 9 shirt and isn't going to want to sit down behind Martial anyway. So maybe that we all know Martial had a big sulk when Ibra came in and wanted his shirt number. So who knows? Some footballers are very, very fragile. Vincent, what's happening tomorrow, mate? Tell us, please.
He's mentioning something about a show, I think, Mr. B. So I wonder what is in the cooking pot. But I do want to ask you a question. Let's just play out the situation where we do accept some form of bid from some club about Martial and he leaves. We've fairly much determined already that we're not keeping Weghorst. So that means that Manchester United, assuming that the plan is to return Rashi to the left, would be without any striker of any form. Does that mean then we have to find 3 players in the summer for a starter, a guy that's going to push the starter, that could take the starter's place, and then a guy that will fill in and do jobs as we need? Because
Revel, living in this is fantasy, bro. Come on now, we're gonna everybody seems to think we're gonna be buying this. Man, we're probably gonna buy 3 players and not get rid of half of the ones that we hope that we would love to get rid of. It'll be the Teleses that'll go. Maybe we'll do a show in the week on over the next couple of weeks or so, but it's going to be the Teleses, the buys. I don't think there's going to be any main players out of that first team that are going to be going. I think the squad will probably stay the same. There might be 1 or 2 additions, but
I think you've answered my question there, actually, Mr. B. We cannot entertain any offers for Anthony Martial on the basis that what it would mean would be an unrealistic amount of ins that cannot happen.
Yeah. Colm's sitting there thinking, talk to me, Colm.
Honestly, I've seen it. Obviously, Emma Kay said it. A less physical league would be great for Martial. It really would. I think he He'd absolutely set fire to Serie A. I really do. But like you're saying, if he goes, we need to get 3 players in. We ain't getting 3 players in unless one of them. Well, let's face it, one of them is going to be Harry King. Let's just say that now because
No.
it's going to happen. Even Tottenham fans have accepted it's going to happen. So I think we just need to. Look, I don't want him. But let's just say we're going to spend 100 million on Harry Kane because that's how much they want, and then we're probably going to go down. I don't know. We're probably going to sign Billy Sharp because he's cheap and we ain't got much budget, and then we're going to bring somebody up for youth academy, or we're going to look in, the Yugoslavian 13th tier somewhere where we can get somebody for like £2.50 in a Snickers bar or something like that, because there's not enough money. And then you got to look at everywhere else we got to spend. It's completely unrealistic that we're going to sign 3 strikers completely.
Absolutely. Now, just to finish up, I do want to touch on a few last comments. As you pointed out, MK is saying a less physical league would benefit Martial. Vinny Bullock, he's talking about the Jimmy Murphy statue that's going up. I thought he was talking about a show here on the agenda. I was wondering, wait a minute, what's going on here? But he's talking about a dedication to Mr. Jimmy Murphy at Old Trafford tomorrow. Please do let us know and maybe cover some of that for us. B Sharps, Phil Jones is gonzo this year. I don't know how he's convinced people to give him contracts today, but he is out the gap this season. So he is. But I want to thank Mr. B. I want to thank Colum. They're going to go watching Saka, Jesus Tosser in the Premier League now. But from us, a very good evening, and we'll see you for the preview show tomorrow at 7:30.